like that? You 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 like that?
What's going on? It's Coach Williams, and I am back for another breakdown. So today we are going to film part 2 of the 49ers going up against the Eagles in the NFC Championship game. And before, we will focus a little bit more on the quarterback run game, which is what makes Philadelphia's offense unique. But now we're going to focus on what I think Philly has a huge advantage in, and that's the pass game. Okay, so I think that the San Francisco 49ers defense is one of the best defenses we've seen in a long time, but they are uniquely susceptible to some pass game concepts. So we are going to go into it and talk through these things. Okay, so one of the worst games for their pass defense, right, was against the Las Vegas Raiders. Okay, and so this is the very first play of the Raiders game, and people have a lot of negative things to say about Josh McDaniels. I think that he put together a symphony of offense against these guys. So let's see how they open the game up here, okay? So they come out here in pro. Now, I don't think you're going to see a lot of pro formation from the Eagles, but just remember that, okay? So they come out in 21 personnel. So we got 2 backs, 1 tight end, 2 wide receivers, all right? Usually, this is a heavy tell for run, especially Josh McDaniels, right? He wants to have that fullback in the game, get downhill, and he bludgeon you in the run game, all right? So how this play ends up turning out is we get this guard action right here. We get counter steps from the running back. So it looks like it's going to be counter, but it's play action, okay? So they run this little play action play, and then they throw the ball into the flat to the tight end Moreau, and he gets a 20-yard gain to kick the game off, all right? So defenses that are as fast as the 49ers defense are susceptible to play action passes because they want to get downhill, they want to be physical, they want to be aggressive. So you want to do play action, you want to do reverses, any kind of misdirection. It looked like they were going to run counter there. That's a good run to run against a defense like this. So that's how they kick the game off. Well, now let's transition over to Philly, all right? So Philadelphia, we talked about this in the last video. Not very big in the under center play action stuff, right? Usually if they go under center, they have a very strong tell that they're going to run the football. So this is a 3rd and 1 play right here. And if you've been paying attention this season, Jalen Hurts on in under center plays, or it's like, 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1 or something like that, or 4th and inches or something, he's usually sneaking the ball. So they come out here and they motion. This isn't pro, but it's more of a hammer formation, but you've got a fullback back here, right? They pull one of the H's back. It's a fullback. This is 13 personnel. We got 3 tight ends in the game, and they also go unbalanced here, okay? So it's tackle, guard, center, guard, and then 2 tight ends out here, okay? So the tell is everybody's walking up. They're reducing the front. You got this linebacker up here. They're expecting that he's going to sneak the ball, right? Where they run. Play action, right? They leak the tight end Goddard across the field, and they pick up a first down, right? Get nice, 12, 15 yards right there, okay? So I think that Philly, if they get into a situation, I think one of the first, 2nd and shorts, 2nd and 1, 2nd and inches or something like that, I think that they should hurry to the line, get under center, and run some play action like that. Because the tell on them is that they don't usually do this, right? I think that would be able to put the 49ers defense in a bad way, all right? So this next play right here, under center again, okay? And so they're in, I believe that they're in man-to-man coverage right here, okay? And so the Raiders are running this duo action right here, right? So it looks like they're going to run the ball, right? It's a short down and distance situation here, okay? And so everybody steps up, and you can look at Waller here. He does a good job of stocking and going, okay? So look at the 49ers. They want to get downhill. They want to stop the run. They want to be physical. They want to smash people, right? Well, what ends up happening? Nice, easy, cheap completion, all right? This is the type of stuff that you have to do against fast defenses, okay? So this next play right here, what are we getting? Play action, all right? So we got some play action right here. Again, this is zone coverage as well, right? One little indicator to know that this is zone is you've got 2 tight ends set up here, right? 12 personnel. You got the tight end wing, and you got a safety and a corner on the same side. And what ends up happening is he ends up one-on-one with A.J. Brown, right? You're not going to do that in man coverage. This is definitely zone, but a lot of zones, especially in the NFL, it's not spot drop. It ends up being a matchup zone. So he ends up one-on-one with him. And Hurts, the beautiful thing about this type of stuff is like Hurts doesn't have to read the field. He can pick his spots and try to make a play, right? And throwing it up to A.J. Brown, that's a winning business model, right? So again, Minkah's in a decent spot, right? The middle field safety, Minkah Fitzpatrick, is in a decent spot. But for me, for my preference, I don't think that he plays this the right way. You want to look up that receiver and cut him off, right? So he's too busy looking up at the ball. So he ends up behind the receiver, right? You want to get into his hip, get into his body, and then be able to turn around, body him up, and go for the football, right? But A.J. Brown, man, that's a physical dude, right? That is a physical dude right there, all right? So the 49ers, okay? One thing that they have to stay away from with the Eagles is getting caught in man-to-man coverage in obvious pass situations, right? So Seattle's spreading the field here, okay? And they're running a fire zone, but like the fire zone family of blitzes, you can run them in cover 1 or cover 3. And so they're running this fire zone here, but they're running it in man-to-man coverage. So we got Charvarius Ward one-on-one down here with DK Metcalf, all right? And so we know the roots of this channel is a DB channel. Very important when you're in this kind of press man coverage to stay square, right? What does he do here? He opens his hips. We call this opening the gate. You don't want to open the gate and turn this into a foot race with DK Metcalf. The dude was trying to get into the Olympics as a sprinter, right? Like, he is fast. You've got to stay square to the line of scrimmage. Look at the other DBs, okay? Look at the DB right here. Stays nice and square to the line of scrimmage. Hips, shoulders, square to the line of scrimmage. Up top up here, Deommodore Lenoir. Hips, shoulders, square to the line of scrimmage for as long as possible, right? You cannot end up in this situation, right? You got to play this better. Can't open your hips immediately and turn this into a foot race because DK Metcalf is just too much. The other thing, too, is he panics here, right? So one thing that you get taught is when you're getting up the field with the receiver, you want to get in phase, right? So you want to get this hand and this hip into him, right? You want to get hip to hip. But when you're beat like this, a lot of DBs will do this when they're beat. They try to use the hand to impede, right? You're not going to be able to run as fast as you can run reaching out like this. So just put your head down, don't look back for the ball, and try to get hip to hip with that receiver. If you see his hands go up, then you want to throw the hand out. But he gets caught, man. He gets caught in a bad way, right? So you cannot end up in a situation like this, right? In man-to-man coverage with these receivers on the outside. And if you do end up in those situations, if they do want to send those fire zone style blitzes with man-to-man coverage behind them, these guys have absolutely got to play their technique right, okay? So we're going to see it again. The Steelers are running it, right? So they're running a fire zone here, right? But it's man-to-man coverage behind it. And so, again, look at this guy opening the gate, right? Does not get hands on, doesn't get hands on the receiver, opens the gate, and lets A.J. Brown run up the field. Nice, easy completion. You're not going to win against these guys if you play it that way, all right? So, this one, not sending pressure. This isn't a blitz. This is cover one rat, okay? So we got the rat player in the middle of the field, right? So he's going to help underneath as a zone player. You got a single high safety. They're disguising it by playing off, right? So they're playing off man coverage, right? They're trying to read it out. But the challenge with playing off man coverage is you give these guys all kinds of space to be able to work with. And Devontae Smith is their number 2 receiver. When Devontae Smith is your number 2, man, it's like, geez, that's rough. And if he's a phenomenal route runner, so if you're going to give him space like this, he is going to be able to get on you with his speed and make a play. Man. So they got to stay out of that, man. If they can, I like, you're going to end up in man coverage sometimes because they're going to have to stop the run game, right? If you're in man, you can allocate more guys to the line of scrimmage, allocate more guys to the box, but they got to be careful. All right, they got to pick their spots because if Philly figures it out that they're in man and they're in one-on-one coverage on the outside, it's not going to be pretty, all right? So the other thing that the 49ers are susceptible to is coverage busts, okay? So they will bust the coverage every once in a while, right? There's lots of tape of them not covering people properly. And the game against the Dolphins, even though they dominated in that game and they won, there were some examples of them blowing coverage. And the most prime example was on the very first play of the game, okay? So they come out in tech, right? So I call this tech. This is 20 personnel, okay? So we've got 2 backs, no tight ends, 3 wide receivers, right? And so Tyreek Hill with the late motion, okay? So this late motion gives a fast defense like this problems, right? So we were talking about what gives this style of defense problems. If you have these late motions, all these guys want to play fast, right? If you get late motion, you got to think. But these guys are defaulted to play fast. They're not out there thinking, right? They're out there just trying to play as fast as they can. So that can put you in a position, especially in the secondary, where you're not in the right place. So they're playing quarters here, I think, right? So they're playing quarters coverage. They just do a good job of disguising it. So Ward is backing off, right? So he's backing off and he's trying to get to his quarter here, okay? And so the way that the coverage is supposed to work is if you get these switch releases, and it really works this way usually in any too high coverage. If you get these switch releases, the corner is supposed to run with the wheel, okay? So the corner is going to run with the wheel route. And Charvarius Ward is playing it really well. This is exactly what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to get into this half turn, right? Get up the field and then drift down to the bottom of the numbers and then turn and cut off the wheel. So he plays it exactly right. But if you look at Hufanga's out here and he's just trying to play fast. And look at where his eyes are. They're on Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill, best receiver in the NFL. Don't care what anybody says. He is the best. Best receiver in the NFL. He wants to cover that guy. He wants to play fast. He wants to be on him. Well, that's not your job. That's not your responsibility. You've left a gaping hole in the middle of the field. Luckily, since they were in 20 personnel, right, this safety can get over the top and get over here. But Sherfield with the speed, right? The other element of this play, and we'll just see it really quickly, is what is it? It is split flow play action, right? So we've got 2 backs coming downhill and the offensive line going this way, right? So we talked about that they usually play it pretty well, but when you add the element of the pass game into it and you've got some athletes that can run, I can definitely see Devontae Smith doing something like this or A.J. Brown doing something like this. So they've got to be ready for that, all right? So coverage busts, all right? So again, what is this? Late motion. Okay, late motion, jet sweep action, right? So the sweep action. And in this one, I think that they're playing quarter, half. I think they're playing quarters up top, and they're playing cover 2 down here, right? And so when you get these tight condensed formations with the 2 highs, it usually ends up turning into cover 2, right? It usually ends up converting to cover 2 a lot of times. I'm not in their playbook, so I don't know. But I do think that this is quarter, half. I think that they're trying to play cover 2 down here. But with the jet action, it makes it a 3-by-1, okay? So it's no longer a 2-by-2 formation. So Warner here has got to see, right, that Davante Adams is getting up the field, and he's got to match the hole. He's got to get his eyes on Davante Adams and get up the field with him, right? Just turn and run. Don't look at anything but Davante Adams. Match that hole deep down the field up to 18 yards. And he doesn't do that, and he ends up in the same area as this other defender over here, right? And the reason why you've got to do that is this safety out here in this corner, now they don't have any reads because the motion has gone across. They don't have a number 2 to read. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to bracket this threat up the field, right? But this corner wants to get depth, right? So, and the safety is going to also want to get depth too. So now he can see that Davante Adams, you can even see that he's looking down. He can see that Davante Adams is open in the middle of the field, and he ends up coming off of it at some point, right? But if Warner matches him up the hole up to 18 yards and then comes off of it, that's going to give the corner the ability to pass that off to the safety. They're no longer bracketing it, and he'll be able to get downhill. But this is what happens, right? This is what happens when defenses want to play fast. They want to be physical. They want to do that kind of stuff. And when you run a lot of zone coverage, right? When you run a lot of zone coverage, there are rules to the coverages. People have to be in the right place. When you're a man, it's a lot easier to just be like, yeah, I'm going to cover this guy, and I'm going to stick with him the whole play, right? So zone coverages, they can get stressed like that. And it's the right thing to do to be in zone coverage against the Eagles, but you've got to be on your game. You've got to be on your P's and Q's. You cannot make mistakes like that, all right? So this play right here, kind of similar, all right? So kind of similar to the first one that we saw with the Dolphins, all right? So not the similar play, but a similar style of thing, right? Misdirection here. So we're getting a play action play here, right? So you're going to play action downhill, and then Hurts is going to fake the screen, right? So he's going to pump to the screen, and then we're going to get the go, okay? So pump to the screen and the go. So we can see him pump to the screen, right? So that holds some of the defenders here, right? Holds some of the defenders, holds the safety. Safety has to slow play it, right? Take some time now to get over the top. Touchdown, right? Touchdown. Not as wide open as the other one, but those little things to hold the safety, hold DBs, get people thinking, that's what's going to allow them to make plays, all right? So, I believe this is the last one here, okay? And so this one here, okay, we're getting another too high coverage here, okay? So I think that they're playing quarters here. And the reason why I think that they're playing quarters is if you look at the safety up here, right? He's got a tight end. And usually when quarters kind of turns into man-to-man coverage as well, right? So when the tight end is the guy in your zone, you're allowed to play it a little bit more flat-footed, right? So he's flat-footed, right? And he's stepping down. I usually tell my safeties to do this in quarters too. When you get the tight end, step down, right? But now the tight end's staying in the block. So what he wants to do is he wants to look for work. That's what you tell the safety to do, look for work. But this is the problem. He doesn't keep his hips and shoulders square to the line of scrimmage. You can look at the safety up top. If we look at him, look at how he's staying nice and square for as long as he possibly can. This guy's got his hips open. So what can Hurts see? Hurts can see, okay, it essentially turns into one-on-one now out here with Devontae Smith. Because now he's going to have to speed turn to be able to get around. And this safety is smart. He's reading the play and he's breaking on it. But he knows that now this middle of the field has been voided, and that safety is going to have to go a long way to be able to make a play. And it's a big explosive completion. So I think the key to this game is for the Eagles to be able to scheme up some pass plays like this, right? I think that they have a huge advantage in the passing game if it does not turn into a drop back game, right? The Eagles are not the type of team where they're going to want to have to drop out and drop back, read coverage, right? Have to be intricate with their pass concepts and stuff. They want to see, okay, it's man to man. Okay, we're throwing it over the top. Okay, we got this play schemed up. We're going to fake the bubble screen, and we're going to throw it over the top. Or we're just going to get the ball into the hands of our athletes very quickly using some play action, split flow play action, RPO type stuff. That's the type of stuff that they want to do. So if they can stay out of the drop back game, which means if they cannot fall behind in the game, I think that they have a massive advantage. And if they play from out in front, even though I do think that the 49ers can stop their run game, the 49ers offensively are just not constructed to have to themselves do a drop back game. So if the Eagles can come out throwing, score some points on these guys early, I think that the Eagles have the advantage. So that's it for this video. I've been so excited to watch this matchup. I'm ready for Sunday. I want to see these two teams go at it, and I'll be back with more breakdowns. So as always, you know what it is. It's Coach Williams, Ball Hawks. We fly. I'm out. Peace.